A girl walked alone, hungry and her feet bleeding, all to save her grandfather. What she found on the way changed her lives forever. A story of faith, unconditional love, and a miracle that only God could work. In a forgotten corner of the highland, where the wind whistled as if carrying secrets of other lives, was a hunting of serene stone. It was a place where the sunrises seemed to cry dew and the night stretched over the earth like a mantle of silence. There, in a house of wasted adobe and a roof of broken tiles, lived a girl named Lilianita with her grandfather, Don Elias. Lilianita was a girl of barely 8 years old, as tender as a new sprout in the dry earth, with tight braids and large, dark eyes like the sky before dawn, and always attentive to the signs of the wind, the sky, and God. Her voice was soft, like the whisper of a falling leaf, and her small hands knew how to prepare the hot mate, light the stove with dry twigs, and heal the wounds of the soul with just a silent hug. She wore what her grandfather had made her with embroidery, a blouse of colorful fabrics, and a long skirt that rose her ankles, embroidered by hand with simple figures that seemed to tell stories of the field, all adjusted by a strip woven with threads of various colors that once were alive and now spoke of years of use and tenderness. On her bare feet, she noticed a path that she had already traveled, although she was still so small. She did not know her mother or her father. Her whole world was Don Elias, her 80-year-old grandfather, with the skin tanned by the sun and work, the large hands cracked with smell of earth, firewood, and affection. Her face, full of deep wrinkles like the furrows of the branch, was hard in appearance, but it was enough to see him smile to know that his heart was made of warm clay. His white hair, like the ash of the stove, always looked out under a wide-winged hat that he even wore inside the house, and on his shoulders he rested a thick blanket of horizontal stripes, woven years ago with the help of his late wife. Every night, even if his bones ached or his chest weighed down by the cough, Don Elias told Lilianita stories of stars that never go out, of when life was greener and the roads not so cruel. And she, with her head on her chest and her eyes closed, firmly believed that as long as her grandfather lived, the world would not fall, because in that house of clay and soul, they loved each other with the strength of those who only have each other. And that is enough, because Don Elias, although already old and tired, had raised Lilianita as if she were a piece of his own heart. They did not speak much. It was not necessary. With a single look, he knew if she was hungry, and she, just by listening to the way he coughed, knew if the pain had returned. But lately, Don Elias could no longer get up as before. His legs trembled, his back bent more than ever, and the cough, as dry and deep as the echo in a well, no longer went with any eucalyptus tea. Lilianita noticed, although he tried to hide it. "I'm fine, little daughter. It's just the cold of winter," he said with a broken voice. But she knew it was not the cold. He felt it in the air, in the absent gaze of the grandfather when he was looking at the flame of the candle, as if he were seeing something else, as if he were already beyond here. One afternoon, while the sun was hiding behind the hills and the sky was sad orange, Don Elias could not get out of bed. His breathing was agitated and his hands cold. Lilianita ran to look for the neighbors, but no one wanted to come. One closed the door for him. Another told him that it was already late. And one more, without even looking at her, let her go coldly. That old man already lived enough. "Girl, go to pray." With eyes full of tears, he returned home running barefoot. Upon entering, he found the grandfather with his eyes closed. He was still breathing, but very soft, as if his soul was about to fly. Lilianita sat next to him, took his hand, and put his head on his chest. The heart of the grandfather still beat, but so slow, so slow. That night, he did not sleep. He was embraced by him, as if his love could hold him a little longer in this world. Outside, the wind blew hard, and the stars twinkled on the broken roof of the little house. And inside that simple house, a girl trembled not with cold, but with fear, because she knew in the depths of her soul that the hardest moment of her life was approaching. The morning came without a sound. The sky was gray, and the mountains, covered with mist, looked like sleeping giants. Inside the humble little house of serene stone, the silence weighed more than ever. Don Elias had not spoken a word since the previous night. His breathing was weak, brittle, like a candle that flickers before it goes out. Lilianita knelt next to the bed where her grandfather's body rested, barely breathing. With hands together and eyes closed by tears, she raised a broken prayer, but full of love. Little cute God, I have no one but him. If you're listening to me, please do not take it away yet. Do it hard again, like before, when he carried me on his back and told me that everything was going to be fine. Tears fell on his knees, went in the ground. In his voice there was no claim, only tenderness, fear, and a faith that seemed to hold the whole ceiling. It was a girl asking heaven not to leave her alone. Lilianita got up without saying anything. She fixed the blanket to the grandfather with trembling hands. Then she left without making a noise, with her heart tight, bare feet, and covered with an old poncho that her grandfather had knitted for her when she still had strength. He had made it with pieces of cloth that he was putting together one by one on good days when he could still walk through the forest and sit next to the stove. That poncho did not shelter much, but for Lilianita, it was like carrying the grandfather's arm on his back. She carried a small bag of cloth with a piece of hard bread, a bottle almost empty of water, the broken faith but still alive, and something else that would help her when she found the help. I have to get to the town. I have to save him. That was what was tumbling in Lilianita's head. The road was long. The wind blew hard, lifting dust that got into her eyes. The stones hurt her feet, but she did not stop. Her cracked lips repeated a phrase as if it were her prayer. I have to save him. I have to ask for help. I have to save him. She walked for hours. There was no shadow, no voice, no friend's hand. The bread ran out in the middle of the road, and with the last drop of water, she wet her dry lips. Hunger weakened her. Tiredness weighed on her bones. And loneliness. It hurt like a wound that does not bleed but burns, until she could no longer. She fell on her knees in the dust, her skinny body trembling. She dropped to the side, and her face was stuck to the dry earth. She no longer cried. She only breathed slowly with her eyes closed. And in her mind, the idea that roamed like a sad song was, perhaps, if I die here, I will meet my grandfather there in heaven, and it will no longer hurt. She closed her eyes. She felt that sleep enveloped her, that her soul surrendered, that her little body, so small, could no longer fight. But then, a soft voice, like the murmur of the wind between the leaves, whispered, "Get up, Lilianita." She opened her eyes, and in front of her, against the white light of dawn, the figure of an unknown man rose. He had long hair, a serene face, and a white blanket that moved with the wind as if it were part of the sky itself. His eyes had no color. They had peace, a peace that is not found in this world. The man bent down tenderly and offered his hand. "My daughter, here is what you need to continue." And from among his clothes, he took out a bowl of mud. Inside there was fresh water, and in the other hand, a piece of bread. Lilianita, without strength or words, took the bowl with both trembling hands. She drank. The water was pure, sweet, as if it came from a spring hidden in the sky. The bread, although simple, had a different flavor, as if it were made with hope. As she ate in silence, he looked at her with a love that did not judge, that did not ask, only understood. Who are you?" she asked the J. Dandy with a low voice. The man smiled at her, and with an unbreakable stillness, he replied, "I am the one who has always heard you, the one who has felt your pain, the one who has seen you cry. My daughter." Lilianita felt her heart open like a flower after storm. She did not know why, but she felt that the pain she carried in her chest also lived in that man, as if his cry had been picked up in his hands, as if his prayer had not been lost. The man then put his hand on his shoulders tenderly, without saying anything else. He helped her get up, gently, and they began to walk together. The road became lighter, not because of the terrain, but because she was no longer walking alone. As they advanced, he asked her sweet questions. "What will you do if you do not succeed?" "I do not know, but I cannot stop trying. And if no one listens to you, then I will scream to heaven." He felt, as he who confirms that faith is not learned is taken inside. They reached a small crack. There the man stopped. "From here," You must continue alone. Lily Anita looked at him with a plea. Can you not come with me to the town? Sometimes, the heart needs to walk only to find what it is looking for. But I will be close, always, even if you do not see me. She lowered her head, and when she wanted to thank him, she was no longer there. He had disappeared like a whisper, like a fleeting star. But in his chest, a new force burned. And so, with his feet wounded, but his soul renewed, Lily Anita resumed her journey to the town. He did not know what he was going to find. But now he knew he was not alone, and he had never been. When Lily Anita arrived in the town, she no longer had tears in her eyes, only dirt on her feet, dust in her soul, and that strange light that those who refuse to surrender have. He walked with difficulty, wrapped in his ponchito of retazos, that which his grandfather had made him with so much affection. The sun hit his face, but she only had one goal, to find help. He entered the first alley. He saw people passing by, sellers in a hurry, men who did not look at her. He raised his little voice. Does anyone know where there is a doctor? Please, my grandfather is dying. But no one answered. Some dodged her as if her pain were contagious. Others gave her a quick look and then lowered their eyes, as if their need were invisible. And that hurt more than hunger, more than the wounds on his feet. He kept walking. He knocked on doors. No one opened. He shouted again. No one answered. And inside he broke. Until, when he turned a corner, an old woman, with a tired face but good eyes, approached him in silence. Little girl, go down that street over there. In the end, there is a doctor who helps people. He can't always, but he tries. Lily Anita lowered her head in a sign of gratitude and ran as she could. She no longer had strength in her legs, but her heart pushed her. When she arrived at the doctor's house, he did not knock on the door. He shouted, "Help me, please. My grandfather is dying. Help me." The doctor opened with a surprised expression. And there in front of him was a girl covered in dirt, with bloody feet, curly hair, dry lips, but with a look that illuminated the entire entrance. "Daughter, what happened to you?" "Nothing, sir. I don't get cured. It's my grandfather. He is the one who is dying. He is everything I have." The doctor wanted to sit her down, tend her feet, but she refused sweetly. "I don't care. Just save him. Her name is Donna Elias. She lives in Piedra Serena. I walked all the way alone. I had no more, but I had to come." The doctor looked at her without being able to speak. She felt a knot in her soul, and for a moment she saw in that girl something greater than pain, a fate that moved her to the depths. Lily Anita, under her head, pulled out of her pocket a small piece of clay, spent for years. She put it on the table with her two trembling hands. "This is all I have, sir. It is what my grandfather helped me keep. We saved it little by little. I'll give it to you if you go and save him." The doctor looked at her in silence, and without hesitation, he took hold of her with both hands. He did not do it for the money, but for the sacred value that gesture contained. He understood that what that girl was giving was not a simple offering, but her whole heart. "We are going to save him, daughter. I promise you." And without losing a second, he called his nurse, asked for an ambulance, and began to prepare his team. All his fatigue, everything he had done that day, no longer mattered. There was something bigger that moved him. The love of a girl, the love that does not ask for anything in return. They helped Lily Anita get on, and they left for Piedra Serena. As the ambulance advanced on the way back, she looked out the window, her eyes wet and her hands clasped against her chest. She did not know if they would arrive in time. She did not know if her grandfather would resist. But in her heart, a flame was still burning. Hope. When they arrived at Piedra Serena, the ambulance stopped in front of the little house. And then he saw something that made her jump out of the seat. Donna Elias was standing, weak, trembling, but standing, leaving the house, desperately looking for her. "Lily Anita, where are you, little daughter?" "Speaker 2, 1805 to 1817. She ran down. She screamed in tears. "Grandfather, here I am. I'm back." Donna Elias smiled. "Speaker 1, 1818, 25:26. He took one step and another until his legs gave in. He fell to the ground, exhausted. "Grandfather." No, the doctor ran to Don Elias, with a briefcase in one hand and the soul in the other. The nurses arrived a few seconds later, and together, quickly and carefully, they lifted him up with a blanket. He is weak, but still breathing. There's hope, said the doctor. They took him urgently to the little house and laid him on the bed. The doctor opened his briefcase, gave clear instructions, while the nurse prepared what was necessary. Lilianita tried to enter, but the doctor crouched at her height, gently took her shoulders and spoke to her tenderly. Little daughter, now leave us. Wait out here, will you? We will do everything possible, but I need you to trust. She sighed, biting her lips so as not to cry. She stayed at the door of her house, embracing her Panchito Retazos, with her face raised to the sky, as if her eyes were still praying. And while inside there was a silent battle for life, outside a girl waited in silence, with her heart open and faith intact. The sun began to set when the door of the clay house slowly opened. The doctor came out with clean hands, a serene face and a sigh of relief in his eyes. Lilianita, you can come in. She stood up from a jump, with her heart beating so fast that she seemed to want to get out of her chest. She ran in, and there, in the courtyard next to the window, Don Elias was looking at her, with his eyes open and full of gratitude. Grandfather, she shouted with tears in her eyes, how are you? The old man smiled tenderly, still weak, but with an awakened soul. Little daughter, I'm fine. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for not giving up. She knelt down next to her bed, took her hand and placed her cheek on her chest. The doctor watched the scene moved, with his arms crossed and a discreet smile. There is only to follow the treatment, said the doctor. He is going to get better. He just needs to rest, take the medication, and continue to receive this great love. He took out a small bottle with the medicines, left it on the wooden table, and carefully explained how and when he should take them. Don Elias, with effort, incorporated a little and said with a soft voice, almost ashamed, Doctor, how much do I owe you for all this? I know I don't have much, but I'll find a way. The doctor smiled, approached, and replied as he set up the blanket. They already paid me. His granddaughter did, with his faith, with his heart, and with something much more valuable than money. Neither of them could say anything. They just looked at the doctor as someone who sees an angel pass through the door. Take the medicine. Rest and take care of that heart you have at home, he added before leaving. Already outside, as he got into the ambulance, Lilianita ran after him. Doctor, wait. Thank you. Thank you for saving my grandfather. The doctor stopped, looked at her with immense tenderness, caressed her hair gently, and said, Do not worry, Lilianita. You saved him from the first moment. He got into the ambulance, raised his hand in a sign of farewell, and with a warm smile that remained etched forever in the girl's heart, he went down the same path he had come. Grandfather, I told you I was going to take care of you, she whispered, looking at how the vehicle disappeared among the dust. The days passed. Don Elias was slowly regaining his strength. The treatment helped, yes, but it was the love and care of Lilianita that worked the real miracle. He warmed her tea, gave her the remedies on time, told her new stories next to the stove, and every night he took her hand before going to sleep to remind her that she was not alone. And so, although the path had been difficult, together they overcame the storm. Time passed. The earth flourished again around the little house. And although they were still poor in material terms, they were rich in something that has no price, the love they have. The story of Lilianita and her grandfather shows us that God never abandons us, not even in the darkest moments. Although sometimes we do not understand the purpose of suffering or the silence of heaven, he walks by our side, in the form of consolation, strength, or even of a stranger with a white blanket and a just word. The journey that Lilianita went through, alone, wounded, with hunger and hope, reminds us that faith is not measured by the ease of the road, but by the decision to continue walking, even with the feet bleeding and the broken heart, and that, although the road is difficult, God is always with us, accompanying us in every step we take to overcome every obstacle that presents us. And it is that Lilianita's love for her grandfather was stronger than fear, firmer than loneliness. It was that pure, sacrificial, unconditional love that opened paths and touched hearts and fed her faith more. Because when love is true and faith remains alive in the midst of adversity, miracles happen. A very special greeting to California, United States, to Yvonne Vela, and to all that beautiful community that always supports us with so much affection. Thank you for walking with us in each story. Your company drives us to continue sharing more reflections full of faith, hope, and true love. If this story touched your heart, do not forget to leave your comment. Give us a like and share this message with those who need it the most. And if you are not yet part of our community, I invite you to subscribe. See you in the next reflection.